The vast expanse of the Milky Way buzzed with activity. Countless alien civilizations, each believing themselves to be at the pinnacle of evolution, looked down upon the small blue planet called Earth. Among the stars, a peculiar notion had taken root. Humans were awful at war. Zix9, a renowned alien anthropologist from the planet Xenon, found himself intrigued by this widespread belief. With 3 eyes that blinked in sequence and skin that shimmered like polished metal, Zix9 stood out even among his own kind. His curiosity about lesser-known species had earned him fame across the galaxy. Humans? Those primitive beings, scoffed Glock 7, Zix9's research partner. Why waste time studying them? Zix9's middle eye twinkled with excitement. That's exactly why we must study them, Glock 7. The galaxy thinks they're weak. But what if we're all wrong? And so, on a crisp autumn morning, Zix9's ship touched down in a remote forest on Earth. Cloaked by advanced technology, the alien scientist began his observations. At first, everything seemed to confirm the galactic consensus. Humans fought among themselves over the pettiest things. Their weapons, compared to alien technology, appeared primitive. Their bodies looked fragile, lacking the natural armor or incredible strength of other warrior races. Zix9 watched as nations bickered, politicians argued, and people went about their daily lives, oblivious to the vastness of the universe around them. He recorded in his notes, "Species shows high propensity for internal conflict. Military capabilities limited by planetary boundaries." But as days turned into weeks, Zix9 began to notice things that didn't quite fit the narrative. He observed military training exercises where human soldiers showed incredible adaptability. They fought in scorching deserts and freezing mountains with equal determination. Their tactics evolved rapidly, even within the span of a single battle. Most intriguingly, Zix9 discovered humanity's rich history of warfare. Unlike many alien races that had 1 or 2 great wars, humans had thousands of years of continuous military evolution. Each conflict, no matter how small, taught them something new. Fascinating, Zix9 muttered to himself, his 3 eyes widening in surprise. They treat peace as an exception, not the rule. Always preparing, always adapting. He watched documentaries about past wars, marveling at the ingenuity humans displayed. From the guerrilla tactics of insurgents to the complex strategies of world wars, humans seemed to have an answer for every military challenge. Zix9's notes became more conflicted. Species shows remarkable resilience and creativity in warfare. Previous assumptions may be flawed. As his study neared its end, Zix9 found himself at a military research facility. Here, he saw humans working on technologies that rivaled some of the best in the galaxy. Artificial intelligence, drone swarms, and energy weapons were all in various stages of development. They're not stagnant, Zix9 realized with a start. They're evolving at an alarming rate. On his last day on Earth, Zix9 stood on a hill overlooking a bustling city. The peaceful scene below contrasted sharply with the military might he had witnessed. In that moment, he understood something crucial about humans. They were not awful at war. They were masters of it, precisely because they longed for peace. Every conflict pushed them to innovate, to become stronger, all in the hope of deterring future wars. As Zix9's ship lifted off, leaving Earth behind, he couldn't shake a feeling of unease. The galaxy believed humans to be an easy target, a primitive species ready for conquest. But Zix9 knew better. In his final report, he wrote, "Let it be known to all spacefaring civilizations, humans are not to be underestimated. They are not awful at war. They are terrifyingly good at it. To provoke them would be to awaken a force the likes of which our galaxy has never seen. We believe them weak. We should think again." Little did Zix9 know, his warning would soon be put to the test, as the stars themselves prepared for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of this small blue planet called Earth. The day the Chronovians attacked was like any other on Earth. People went about their daily lives, unaware that their world was about to change forever. High above the planet's atmosphere, a massive fleet of alien ships suddenly appeared, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly metal. Commander Zark of the Kronovian forces sneered as he looked at the blue planet on his view screen. "These humans won't know what hit them," he growled, his scaly skin rippling with anticipation. "Begin the invasion." Within hours, major cities across the globe were under attack. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, all faced the wrath of the Kronovians. Panic spread like wildfire as people realized this was not a movie or a drill, but a real alien invasion. In Washington, D.C., President Sarah Chen stood in the war room, surrounded by her top advisors. Her face was grim, but her voice steady. "We need to unite the world," she declared. "This is no longer about nations. It's about the survival of our species." Thousands of miles away in Moscow, President Alexei Volkov received a direct call from Chen. Despite years of tension between their countries, Volkov didn't hesitate. "Russia stands with you," he said firmly. "We will fight together." Similar scenes played out across the globe. Old enemies became allies as humanity faced its greatest threat. The United Nations, often slow to act, moved with unprecedented speed to create a unified Earth defense force. But unity alone wasn't enough. The first days of the war were devastating for Earth. The Kronovians' energy weapons cut through human defenses like paper. Their ships seemed impervious to missiles and bullets. Cities burned, and millions lost their lives. In London, Royal Air Force pilot Jane Thompson climbed into her fighter jet, knowing the odds were against her. "We may not have their tech," she told her squadron, "but we got something they don't: the will to protect our home." Thompson and her team engaged a Kronovian ship over the English Channel. They'd weaved and dodged, their smaller craft more agile than the alien vessel, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the ship's shields. Just as hope seemed lost, Thompson had an idea. "Follow me," she shouted, leading her squadron into a nearby storm cloud. The Kronovian ship followed, its sensors confused by the electrical interference. Suddenly, Thompson and her team burst out of the cloud, firing everything they had at a single point on the alien ship. The concentrated attack, combined with a lucky lightning strike, pierced the shield. The Kronovian ship spiraled down into the channel. News of this small victory spread rapidly, boosting morale across the globe. Humanity began to adapt, to find weaknesses in the seemingly invincible enemy. In a secret bunker beneath the Himalayas, scientists from around the world worked tirelessly to understand and replicate Kronovian technology. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a quantum physicist from Japan, made a breakthrough. "Their shields," she explained to the team, "they operate on a frequency we can disrupt." Meanwhile, in the forests of Brazil, indigenous warriors taught special forces how to move unseen, how to use the environment as a weapon. These guerrilla tactics proved effective against the Kronovians, who were used to open warfare. Slowly but surely, humanity began to push back. Every victory, no matter how small, was celebrated. Every defeat was analyzed, learned from, and used to improve strategies. 3 months into the war, during a fierce battle in the skies over Sydney, Australian pilot Steve Cooper noticed something odd. "The alien ships," he radioed to base, "they're not as coordinated as before. It's like they're getting tired." This observation led to a startling discovery. The Kronovians, used to quick conquests, had never fought a prolonged war. They were not prepared for the sheer tenacity and adaptability of humans. As the 6th month of war approached, Earth had become a fortress. Humans fought with a mix of salvaged alien tech, improvised weapons, and sheer determination. The Kronovians, once confident of an easy victory, found themselves in a grueling conflict they hadn't anticipated. Commander Zark, his earlier sneer replaced by a look of disbelief, stared at the battle reports. "How?" he muttered. "How are these primitives doing this?" Little did he know, the real test of humanity's warfighting skills was yet to come. As Earth prepared for a major counteroffensive, the galaxy watched in awe. The species they had dismissed as weak was proving to be a force to be reckoned with. The war was far from over, but one thing was clear. Those who thought humans were awful at war would need to think again. As the war entered its 7th month, humanity's resilience began to shine through. The initial shock of the alien invasion had worn off, replaced by a grim determination to survive and win. Across the globe, humans were tapping into their long history of warfare, using lessons learned from centuries of conflict to outsmart their technologically superior foes. In the scorching deserts of North Africa, a group of soldiers led by Captain Amina Hassan was making life hell for the Kronovians. Hassan, a history buff with a particular interest in World War II desert campaigns, had studied the tactics of the legendary desert fox, Erwin Rommel. "We may not have their fancy ships," Hassan told her troops, "but we have the sun, the sand, and centuries of desert warfare knowledge on our side." Using a combination of old-school camouflage techniques and salvaged Kronovian tech, Hassan's team became ghosts in the desert. They would appear out of nowhere, strike hard and fast, then vanish back into the dunes before the aliens could respond. One day, as a Kronovian patrol moved across the desert, Hassan's team sprang their trap. Mirrors strategically placed in the sand suddenly reflected the harsh sunlight, blinding the alien sensors. In the confusion, the humans struck, disabling the Kronovian vehicles and capturing valuable technology. Meanwhile, in the dense jungles of Southeast Asia, another group was giving the Kronovians a taste of guerrilla warfare. Led by Major Nguyen, a veteran of countless jungle operations, the team moved like shadows through the thick vegetation. Nguyen had an ace up his sleeve, a deep understanding of sound warfare. In this jungle, he explained to his international team, sound can be a weapon or a weakness. We'll use it to our advantage. Using a mix of ancient tribal techniques and modern acoustics, Nguyen's team created a symphony of deception. They used hollow bamboo to amplify and misdirect sounds, confusing the Kronovian patrols. The aliens, used to relying on their advanced sensors, found themselves lost and disoriented in the green maze. One night, as a Kronovian squad stumbled through the jungle, Nguyen's team struck. The humans seemed to be everywhere and nowhere, their attacks coming from all directions. By the time the sun rose, the alien squad had been completely neutralized, their equipment now in human hands. But it wasn't just on land that humans were proving their worth. In the vast oceans, submarine crews were writing a new chapter in naval warfare history. Captain Lisa Chen, commanding the U.S. Silent Thunder, had studied the old German U-boat tactics from World War II. She combined these with modern stealth technology and a dash of creative thinking. "The oceans are our home turf," Chen told her crew. "Let's show these aliens why humans have always feared what lies beneath the waves." Chen's submarine played a deadly game of cat and mouse with a Kronovian warship. Using the ocean's complex layers of temperature and salinity, the Silent Thunder became virtually invisible to alien sensors. They struck from the depths, launching specially modified torpedoes that could penetrate the alien ship's shields. The Kronovian ship, designed for space combat, found itself woefully unprepared for the three-dimensional chess game of submarine warfare. After a tense 48-hour battle, the alien vessel finally succumbed to Chen's relentless attacks, sinking into the ocean's depths. As news of these successes spread, human morale soared. People began to realize that their species' long, often tragic history of warfare was now becoming their greatest asset. Each victory, no matter how small, was studied and the lessons shared globally. In hidden bunkers and makeshift war rooms around the world, military strategists pored over histories of the Roman legions, Mongol hordes, Napoleonic campaigns, and modern special operations. Every tactic, every trick, every hard-learned lesson from humanity's past was being adapted for the fight against the Kronovians. The aliens, who had expected a quick and easy conquest, found themselves facing an enemy that seemed to constantly change and adapt. Human strategies were unpredictable, varying from high-tech assaults one day to primitive ambushes the next. As the Chronovian commanders met to reassess their invasion plans, a sense of unease filled the room. Commander Zark, once confident of victory, now looked worried. "These humans," he growled, "they fight like no species we've ever encountered. It's as if their entire history has been preparation for this war." Little did Zark know, humanity was just warming up. As humans grew more confident and coordinated in their resistance, the true test of their warfighting skills was yet to come. The galaxy watched in amazement as the species they had dismissed as primitive continued to defy all expectations. The message was becoming clear. Those who thought humans were awful at war would need to think again, and again, and again. As the war raged on, humanity's ingenuity began to shine even brighter. The tide was turning, not through brute force, but through clever adaptation and the creative use of both human and alien technology. This phase of the war would show the galaxy that humans were not just survivors, but innovators of the highest order. In a secret underground lab beneath the ruins of Silicon Valley, Dr. Aisha Patel led a team of the world's best hackers and programmers. Their mission: to crack the Chronovian communication codes and turn the aliens' own technology against them. "Every system has a weakness," Dr. Patel told her team, her eyes glowing with determination. "We just need to find it." For weeks, they worked tirelessly, analyzing every bit of alien tech they could get their hands on. Sleep became a luxury, coffee a necessity. Then, on a quiet Tuesday morning, they had a breakthrough. "We're in," shouted Lai Chen, a young programmer from Beijing. The room erupted in cheers as they realized they had finally cracked the Chronovian encryption. With access to the alien communications, humanity gained a crucial advantage. They could now intercept orders, misdirect troops, and even send false commands to the Chronovian forces. Meanwhile, in the frozen wastes of Antarctica, another team was making progress of a different kind. Led by Professor Hans Schmidt, a group of scientists and engineers were reverse engineering Chronovian energy weapons. "Their technology is advanced," Schmidt explained to a group of military observers, "but not incomprehensible. We're learning, adapting, and improving upon their designs." The Antarctic team worked in shifts, battling not just the technological challenges, but also the harsh environment. Their breakthroughs came in stages. First, they managed to power up a Chronovian rifle. Then they figured out how to recharge it using Earth-based power sources. Finally, they cracked the secret of its construction. Within months, factories around the world began producing hybrid weapons, human-made guns firing Chronovian energy bolts. The playing field was starting to level. But perhaps the most surprising development came from an unexpected source. In the lush rainforests of the Amazon, a collaboration between indigenous shamans and quantum physicists led to a discovery that would change the course of the war. Dr. Maria Pereira, a renowned physicist, had been studying the Chronovian shield technology when she noticed something odd. The shields, she explained to her colleague, a tribal elder named Raoni, they seemed to resonate at frequencies similar to those used in some of your traditional ceremonies. Raoni's eyes widened with understanding. For generations, his people had used sacred plants and ancient chants to connect with what they called the spirit world. Now, it seemed, these practices might hold the key to disrupting alien technology. Together, Pereira and Raoni developed a device that combined cutting-edge quantum technology with age-old shamanic wisdom. When activated, it emitted a field that could disrupt Chronovian shields, leaving their ships vulnerable. As news of these developments spread, hope blossomed across the planet. Humanity was no longer just resisting. They were innovating, adapting, and overcoming. The Chronovian High Command watched in disbelief as their once easy conquest turned into a nightmare. Human fighters, armed with reverse-engineered weapons, were now able to go toe-to-toe with Chronovian soldiers. Alien ships found their shields failing at critical moments, leaving them exposed to Earth's counterattacks. Commander Zark, once so confident in his species' superiority, now paced nervously on the bridge of his flagship. "How?" he muttered, his scales changing color with stress. "How are they doing this?" The answer, of course, lay in humanity's greatest strength, its diversity. By combining knowledge from every corner of the globe, from the latest scientific theories to ancient tribal wisdom, humans had created a melting pot of innovation that the single-minded Chronovians couldn't match. As the war entered its second year, the momentum had clearly shifted. Human forces, once on the defensive, were now taking the fight to the Chronovians. Cities were being reclaimed, alien bases destroyed, and for the first time, there was serious talk of not just surviving, but winning. In hidden bunkers and war rooms around the world, military leaders began planning their next moves. The question was no longer if they could defeat the Chronovians, but when and how decisively. As Earth prepared for its next major offensive, the rest of the galaxy watched in awe. The species they had dismissed as primitive had not only survived, but was now poised to defeat one of the most powerful civilizations in the known universe. The message was clear. Those who underestimated humanity's capacity for warfare did so at their own peril. The humans weren't just good at war, they were redefining it. As Earth's victories against the Chronovians mounted, ripples of surprise and interest spread across the galactic community. Species that had previously ignored or looked down upon humanity now found themselves paying close attention to the little blue planet. In the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council, representatives from hundreds of alien civilizations gathered to discuss the ongoing war. The massive chamber buzzed with chatter in 1,000 different languages, all translated instantly by advanced technology. Zix9, the alien anthropologist who had studied humans before the war, stood at the podium. His 3 eyes blinked nervously as he addressed the assembly. "Esteemed colleagues," he began, "we have grossly underestimated the humans. Their ability to adapt, to innovate, and to fight is unlike anything we've seen before." A murmur ran through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement, while others scoffed in disbelief. Ambassador Clorn of the Zentari Confederation, a race known for their military prowess, spoke up. "These humans intrigue us. Perhaps it's time we considered an alliance." This statement caused an uproar. Alliance with a species many had considered primitive just months ago. The very idea seemed absurd to some. But not everyone was enthusiastic about humanity's success. Ambassador Drek of the Vorn Empire, a longtime rival of the Chronovians, growled in his guttural language. "The humans are dangerous," Drek warned. "Today they fight the Chronovians. Tomorrow, who knows? We should crush them now while we still can." The assembly hall erupted into heated debate. Some argued for immediate action against Earth, while others advocated for alliance, or at least non-interference. As the galactic community argued, humanity continued to push back against the Chronovian invasion. News of Earth's victories spread across the stars, catching the attention of even the most distant civilizations. On a planet light years away from Earth, in a crystal city that seemed to sing with every breeze, the Melodians watched the war with great interest. Known for their love of harmony and their advanced telepathic abilities, the Melodians had long avoided galactic conflicts. High Resonator Area, the leader of the Melodians, called a meeting of her council. "The humans," she said, her voice like a symphony, "their minds sing with a complexity we've never encountered. Perhaps it's time we reached out." Back on Earth, the revelations about the wider galactic community came as a shock to many. Humanity had been so focused on survival that they hadn't considered the broader implications of their success. In a secure conference room in Geneva, world leaders gathered to discuss this new development. The room was tense, filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "We're not just fighting for our survival anymore," said President Chen. "We're fighting for our place in the galaxy." As if to underscore her point, at that very moment, a sleek ship unlike any they had seen before appeared in Earth's orbit. It was neither Chronovian nor of human design. Panic initially spread through Earth's defense networks, but the ship made no aggressive moves. Instead, it broadcast a message on all frequencies, in perfect English. People of Earth, we are the Zentari. We have watched your struggle and admire your resilience. We come in peace and offer our hand in friendship. The news of potential alien allies spread like wildfire across the globe. People reacted with a mix of hope, fear, and curiosity. After months of fighting for survival, the idea that there might be friendly aliens out there was almost too much to comprehend. However, not everyone was eager to trust these new potential allies. General Zhang of the Earth Defense Force voiced his concerns. We must be cautious. We don't know their true intentions. As Earth's leaders debated on how to respond to the Zentari, more alien ships began to appear in the solar system. Some came with offers of alliance, others with threats, and some simply to observe. The war against the Chronovians had unexpectedly thrust humanity onto the galactic stage. Earth, once considered a backwater planet, was now the center of attention for countless alien civilizations. In his flagship, now pushed back to the outer edges of the solar system, Commander Zark of the Chronovians watched these developments with a mix of rage and disbelief. "What have we done?" he muttered. "We didn't just wake a sleeping giant. We've caused a galactic shift." As humanity prepared to make first contact with friendly alien species, one thing became clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. The species that everyone thought was awful at war had not only survived, but was now reshaping the very fabric of galactic society. The message was clear. Humanity was here to stay, and the galaxy better be prepared. The solar system had become a hive of activity. Earth, once a lonely blue marble, now found itself at the center of a galactic drama. Ships from a dozen different alien races hovered in orbit, their presence a constant reminder of humanity's new place in the cosmic order. On the Moon, in a hastily constructed but impressive facility, Earth's leaders gathered to meet with representatives from the Zentari Confederation. The lunar setting was chosen as a neutral ground, a symbol of humanity's first steps into space. President Chen led the human delegation, her face a mask of calm determination. Beside her stood General Zhang, his eyes constantly scanning for potential threats. Across the table sat Ambassador Clorn of the Zentari, his iridescent scales shimmering under the artificial lights. "We offer you advanced shield technology," Clorn said, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into smooth English. "Together, we can drive the Chronovians from your system." President Chen nodded thoughtfully. "We appreciate your offer, Ambassador. But we must ask, what do you expect in return?" Before Clorn could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. General Zhang's comm unit crackled to life. "Multiple Chronovian warships have entered the system," a frantic voice reported. "They're heading straight for Earth." In orbit around Earth, the Chronovian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. It was larger than anything humanity had faced before. Clearly, the Chronovians had called in reinforcements from across their empire. Commander Zark stood on the bridge of his flagship, his eyes gleaming with malice. "No more games," he snarled. "We end this now. Obliterate their cities, scorch their lands. Let's remind the galaxy why the Chronovians are feared." As the Chronovian ships began their approach, Earth's defense systems sprang to life. Satellites reconfigured into weapon platforms, ground-based lasers aimed skyward, and squadrons of fighters, both human and reverse-engineered Chronovian, launched into the atmosphere. In the lunar facility, chaos erupted. "We need to get back to Earth," President Chen shouted over the din. But Ambassador Clorn raised a hand, his expression unreadable. "Perhaps," he said calmly, "it's time we showed you why an alliance with the Zentari is valuable." With a series of rapid clicks, Clorn communicated with the Zentari ships in orbit. Suddenly, they sprang into action, their sleek vessels moving to intercept the Chronovian fleet. The space around Earth erupted into a spectacular battle. Zentari ships, faster and more maneuverable than anything humanity had seen, danced between Chronovian energy blasts. They returned fire with weapons that seemed to bend space itself, creating localized gravity wells that crushed Chronovian ships. But the Chronovians had numbers on their side. For every ship they lost, two more took its place. The battle hung in the balance, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. That's when humanity decided to reveal its trump card. From a hidden base in the asteroid belt, a signal was sent. Suddenly, Chronovian ships began to malfunction. Some lost power, others fired upon their allies, and some simply exploded. On his flagship, Commander Zark watched in horror as his fleet fell into chaos. "What's happening?" he roared. The answer came in the form of a transmission, broadcast on all frequencies. Dr. Aisha Patel's face appeared on screens across the battlefield. "Did you really think we'd just sit back and play defense?" she said, a fierce grin on her face. "While you were focused on brute force, we infiltrated your systems, planted backdoors, and now your fleet belongs to us." The tide of battle turned dramatically. Caught between the Zentauri's advanced technology, Earth's determined defense, and their own ships turned against them, the Chronovian fleet began to crumble. As the last Chronovian ships either fled or surrendered, a cheer went up from every human ship and station. On the moon, President Chen turned to Ambassador Clorn, her expression a mix of gratitude and pride. "Thank you for your help, Ambassador," she said. "I believe we have much to discuss about that alliance." Clorn nodded, his own expression one of newfound respect. "Indeed we do, Madam President. Indeed we do." As the dust of battle settled, the message to the galaxy was clearer than ever. Humanity was not just good at defending itself. When pushed, it could take the fight to the enemy in ways no one expected. The species everyone thought was awful at war had just defeated one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, and they did it not just with strength, but with cunning, adaptability, and a willingness to forge new alliances. The age of humanity as a galactic power had begun, and the universe would never be the same. 5 years had passed since the great battle that ended the Chronovian invasion. Earth, once an isolated planet on the fringes of the galaxy, had become a bustling hub of interstellar activity. The Sydney Opera House, restored and expanded, now hosted the first Galactic Cultural Exchange Festival. Zix-9, the alien anthropologist who had first studied humans before the war, stood on the stage. His 3 eyes blinked in sequence as he addressed the diverse crowd of humans and aliens. "Years ago, I came to Earth thinking I would study a primitive species," Zix-9 began. "Instead, I found the most surprising, adaptable, and resilient beings in the known universe." In the audience, familiar faces from the war listened intently. President Chen, now serving as Earth's first galactic ambassador, sat next to Clorn of the Zentauri. General Zhang, retired but still respected, nodded along with Zix-9's words. "Humans were supposedly awful at war," Zix-9 continued, "but they proved to be masters of innovation, cooperation, and determination. They didn't just survive, they thrived." As Zix-9 spoke, screens around the Opera House showed images from the war and its aftermath. Scenes of destruction were followed by incredible shots of reconstruction. Humans and aliens worked side by side, rebuilding cities with a mixture of Earth architecture and alien technology. One image showed Dr. Aisha Patel shaking hands, or appendages, with the lead scientists of 5 different alien races. Her team's breakthrough in cyber warfare had led to a galactic-wide project to improve digital security. Another screen displayed Captain Amina Hassan, whose desert warfare tactics had impressed even the most seasoned alien military strategists. She now led a multi-species training program, teaching adaptability and unconventional thinking to soldiers from across the galaxy. But perhaps the most remarkable thing, Zix-9 said, his voice filled with admiration, is how quickly humans turned from war to peace. The screens now showed the transformation of weapons factories into centers of scientific research. Former military bases had become schools and universities where humans and aliens studied together. In orbit around Earth, the International Space Station had been expanded into a massive structure. It served as a neutral meeting ground for galactic diplomacy and scientific cooperation. Humans didn't use their victory to dominate, 6-9 explained. Instead, they reached out in friendship. They turned potential enemies into allies, and suspicion into curiosity. As if to emphasize his point, the camera panned to a corner of the audience. There, surrounded by a security detail but looking decidedly less aggressive, sat former Commander Zark of the Chronovians. After his capture, Zark had expected execution. Instead, he found himself part of a rehabilitation program. Even those who sought to conquer Earth found themselves conquered by human compassion, 6-9 said, nodding toward Zark. The former commander shifted uncomfortably, but gave a small nod of acknowledgement. And so, 6-9 continued, we find ourselves at the dawn of a new era. An era where humanity's unique blend of tenacity, creativity, and empathy is helping to reshape galactic society for the better. As 6-9 concluded his speech, the audience erupted in applause. Species that had never interacted before the war now cheered together, united by their shared respect for humanity. After the ceremony, President Chen stood at the Opera House's balcony, looking out over Sydney Harbor. Alien ships of various designs floated peacefully alongside human vessels. "Quite a view, isn't it?" came a voice behind her. It was Dr. Maria Pereira, whose collaboration with the Amazon shaman had led to breakthroughs in understanding the nature of the universe itself. Chen nodded. "Sometimes, I still can't believe how far we've come." Pereira smiled. "We had it in us all along. We just needed the right push to realize our potential." As night fell, the sky lit up with a spectacular display. It wasn't fireworks, but a carefully choreographed dance of ships from a dozen different species, their lights painting the stars with messages of peace and unity. On the ground, in cities across the globe, humans and aliens alike looked up in wonder. Children who had been born after the war couldn't imagine a world where these different species weren't friends and allies. The galaxy had learned a powerful lesson. Those who thought humans were awful at war had been proven wrong. But more importantly, humanity had shown that their real talent lay not in fighting wars, but in building a lasting peace. As the galactic community moved forward into an uncertain but hopeful future, one thing was clear: humanity's place among the stars was assured, not by the strength of their weapons, but by the power of their spirit.